Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's on the Pile. I'm Nathan Besner, and joining me is Shane Lee,
Hey.
Jane Belcastro,
Hello.
Matt Wagner,
It's Wagner.
Jenner, and my daughter Amelia is joining us again. Everybody say
Welcome
hi
back.
to Mia.
Hey, Amelia.
Yeah.
All right. Tonight we'll be
The
stepping
only true critic among us.
Tonight we'll be stepping into the world of The House, a stop-motion animated anthology film on Netflix that tells three tales, all surrounding the architecturally same building. But first, we're going to be talking about stop-motion in general, starting with our question of the week. What is your favorite stop-motion animated film? Now, we are going to talk about stop-motion in live-action films. So we will be talking about Ray Harryhausen, Phil Tippett, Stan Winston, and everybody.
Yeah.
But for now, we're going to focus on stop motion animated films like from Aardman Animation or Leica. So let's go for it. Let's hear your thoughts.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead first.
Wow. Okay. The ones that jump most directly to mind. It's good that you mentioned Leica, because I had all but forgotten about Paranorman, which is a pity because that's one of my absolute favorites of that particular medium. That's just a really, really terrific movie, especially in 3D, which is a very different experience for stop motion, I think, than for kind of regular live action a lot of the time. The other one that jumps fairly directly to mind, and this is a little bit of an outlier because it's not stop motion in the way that we normally think of it, but it's kind of stop motion adjacent and includes enough of that sort of thing that I feel it probably qualifies, which was the first feature-length animated film ever completed in 1926 was The Adventures of Prince Ahmed, directed, in fact, made almost single-handedly by one Lotte Reininger, who was the god, king, goddess, queen, what have you, of what were called silhouette films, which was sort of a combination of 2D puppetry and stop motion, and kind of extraordinary. The only other director that I can think of who's kind of deliberately, as a pastiche, gone into the silhouette films is a French director named Michel Ocelot, spelled Ocelot. Made two really wonderful films called Princes and Princesses and Tales of the Night, both of which are really terrific. And of course, in that case, it was kind of hand-done silhouettes in the case of the first one, and computer-generated silhouettes in the case of the second one, so that doesn't really count. But Reininger is, in particular, is underappreciated as an absolute pioneer of animation in general, but I think qualifies in this case.
Yeah, for more recent silhouette work, you could watch the closing credits of the new Candyman version.
Yeah,
But it's not actually stop motion, it's just puppetry.
Yeah. I like bringing up Leica because and Paranorman because that's one of my favorites. My
Same.
personal
That
favorite.
movie's so good.
I can't
I love
decide
it.
between that and Kubo and the Two Strings, which is my favorite that they've done.
Kubo's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually a big fan of Box Trolls on that one, which I know is a little bit of an outlier, largely for just a couple of jokes within it. But Leica is strange because Leica is so technically proficient, I think most people, until the closing credits, don't realize it's stop motion. They just assume it's CGI.
Now wait a minute, because Cintiq, Wacom Cintiq screens, that they use Leica as one of their subjects for, like who uses their stuff. And they were obviously doing CGI on the box trolls in the commercial. So I'm not entirely sure how much is
CGI and how much
Right.
is stop motion. I will say every time I have thought this has to be CGI, it turned out to be actual stop motion. They are such technical masters of the form. If they're using CGI, I literally can't tell.
They do use some. I mean, they use computers to assist the imagery in that they erase wires that are holding up things. They erase like small wiring that would have to hold up something that's really suspended.
hovering in midair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to erase that digitally with the
Mhm.
kind of stuff they're doing. So yeah,
You know,
technically there's a digital side to
yeah.
it.
Yeah, but
Go-
what I saw was them manipulating like an eye raise or so, like eyebrow raise or something on this. It was
It's poss
years ago,
it's possible it
but
was pre-visualization.
maybe,
Mm.
maybe that's it. I don't know, or
Or there's
Or
maybe.
you have just disillusioned us all.
Yeah, I don't know.
there's
No, they
definitely a bit
definitely stop motion animate. They definitely do.
Mhm.
There,
Okay,
there's
good.
definitely a bit of a computer footprint in some of their special effects, like not the characters or the settings necessarily, but they're very good at smoke. But I think their use of smoke is probably digitally assisted, if not completely digital.
More
I
than
imagine
likely.
a lot of the backgrounds and that sort of thing are probably just computer rendering.
Yeah, yeah. For my part, if I had to pick a single feature length, I would say probably The Corpse Bride. That as Johnny Depp one from a ways back. I actually don't remember the studio. I was trying to look it up. Do we remember who the studio is? Is it just Johnny Depp's studio?
Well, no, I
No,
think
Not Johnny Depp, Tim Burton's studio.
it was
Um,
no, it was a work for hire. I think it
I
wasn't.
believe that was Henry Selick, was.
Not Corpse
Maybe.
Bride. That
Oh,
was not
okay.
Henry Selick. That was it might have been Rick Heinrichs.
Oh, no, that was just somewhere under the Warner Brothers umbrella, I think.
Yeah, it was
It was
definitely a
just
work for hire animation studio. It may have been Leica for all I know.
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it was hecka proficient from back in 2005. But I do like some of the classic groups too. For a while I was trying to pick up the more famous art house ones like Quay Brothers and Jan Svankmajer. And of course, did you get around to watching The Cat with Hands? No?
The Cat with Hands?
No, you didn't get a chance to see that? Yeah.
So
What's that?
creepy.
It was something I suggested at the end of last time.
Oh,
The Cat
okay.
with
No,
Hands
I
was
forgot.
a
Sorry.
migration by Robert Morgan. I don't know too much else he's done, but it's a short. It's like 4 minutes long, about the length of a song. It's just a spooky little story about a thing that lives in a well, and
Yep.
yeah, it's remarkably effective, and not the least for because it does stop motion animation with actors. So it's have you seen the stop motion manipulation of actors before? That is one of the most uncanny valley things
Well, like
you'll
the
ever
Secret
encounter.
Adventures of Tom Thumb.
Yes, though I
Yeah.
actually never got around to watching that one.
It'll make you think you were
I've
drunk.
heard about
How
it.
Not stoned, mind you, drunk.
Yeah.
about you, Shane?
Uh, oh, I'm actually a big fan of Charlie Kaufman's Anomalisa, which
Oh, I wanted
I
to see
know
that.
we've had some issues on this podcast with Charlie Kaufman's sort of doom and gloom worldview. It does have some of that, but it's really just about a lonely man played by David Thewlis, by the way, trying to connect with people. And I mean, there is a reason it's stop motion. He sees everybody in the world as identical. So you just see all these people with the same faces, and then there's a girl named Lisa who sort of breaks him out of that. And of course, it gets really weird.
Mhm.
But I did want to mention my most memorable stop motion theatrical experience was so there's a drive-through around here. It's been around for like 50 years. It's kind of like a local treasure. It's run by this really weird guy who also actually recently is having to step down because of some controversies. But their marquees and website are really confusing. So we went to go see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Was that the second one was called? Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen
Yeah.
Kingdom, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But there was another movie too. But because of the scheduling, because of the confusion with the marquee, we thought that was playing first, and then there was this other movie called Early Man that I never heard of. So we got there.
That's an Aardman.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I didn't know that. What that? I thought that was something like The Croods or whatever. So we got there, and we thought we were gonna watch Jurassic World, and this other movie started, and we were like, okay, we'll sit through this, whatever this dumb movie is. And it ended up being just utterly delightful. It's an Aardman film. It's it's a sports movie, by the way, which I didn't know going in.
So you did get the joke in the title, right?
Early Man.
It's Early Manchester.
Oh, okay. I see. I don't really know
Yeah.
soccer, but
Neither do I. That's about the only joke I got.
But I like that. It wasn't. It was Stone Age versus Bronze Age or something like that. It was like an underdog sports movie, and I absolutely loved it. And then of course I was excited to see Jurassic World, and it was sort of unbelievable how bad Fallen Kingdom was.
Yeah,
I,
oh my
like
God, yes.
I like the first one, but wow.
Are you planning on seeing the newest one?
Um, at some point, sure, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I walked out of there and just I've always loved Aardman, so not surprising that I would have loved Early Man. But I just remember walking out of that drive-through or drive-in, being like, "Wow, Early Man was great. Fallen Kingdom, what the hell happened there?"
Yeah.
I kind
Speaking
of
of
liked Fallen Kingdom just for the whole eat the rich thing, but I don't kid myself, it was a particularly good movie.
So speaking of
Wait,
Aardman,
wait, wait.
has
Um,
anyone else seen? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I want Mia to talk in about this. What do you think of the second Jurassic World movie where they kill the brachiosaur?
Like I said, the only true
that's
critic
fair.
among us.
That's right.
So speaking of Aardman, has anyone else seen Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists?
No.
Otherwise known as the Pirates movie?
No, I
I
haven't
have
seen
been
that.
meaning
Okay.
to for ages. I actually read the book that it was based on, which was a hoot in its own right, not least for the bibliography of other the Pirates adventures, most of which did not exist at the end of it. So it was a wonderful book. I just never got around to seeing the movie.
The movie is really quite good. I mean, you're not going to it for any particular thrilling twists on the plot line, although it is amusing that the basic plot is that the pirates accidentally attack Charles Darwin's ship, and he notices that their parrot is actually a dodo, and he wants to take it to England in order to display it for the Queen, but the Queen hates pirates, and thus hilarity ensues.
I know. I want to see it.
Yeah, it's actually really pretty fun. And it is in the dollar bins everywhere, because I don't think anyone realized it was an Aardman animation, or at
No.
least those of us who know to look for Aardman, because it doesn't have Wallace and Gromit on it anywhere. It's in their style, but it looks kind of like dollar bin discount animation, which is usually an area you want to stay out of, except for this one. This one is good.
I
Well, it's
remember
funny you
thinking
say
that was
that 'cause-
a Christian film because of Veggie Tales.
They
They did Pirates too.
Yeah,
Bob
they
and
did.
Larry.
And their
Pirates.
cover, their DVD cover was extremely similar, which is very unfortunate.
The
Aw.
pirates who don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't like Wallace and Gromit. My brother loved it.
Oh.
I just don't know why. It just never caught me. But Chicken Run might actually be my favorite.
There
But
you go.
that is actually really, really good. I enjoy that. It's funny and silly, and yeah, I for some reason don't mind that weird bean-shaped mouth on chickens. Chickens with
Okay.
teeth. I mean, really, you can't go wrong there.
I mean, their big moneymaker at the moment is the Shaun the Sheep franchise,
Yeah.
which is
I haven't even seen it.
definitely it's aimed at like 4 to 8 year olds or so. Though it's not awful to watch. It's one of those where parents can be amused too, but it's gonna be pretty kiddie based. So maybe not something you'd hunt down anyway. Otherwise,
Mia, have we shown you Chicken Run? That's the one about
Oh,
the
there you go.
chickens escaping the farm because they're gonna get eaten.
it's based on Stalag 17. So
I thought it was The Great Escape.
Little bit.
oh yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of both.
Great movie either way. I love that
Mm.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they doing a sequel with like none of the voice cast?
I've heard
They
about
keep-
it.
I've heard rumblings about it. I have no idea if that's actually been greenlit or not.
Hmm.
That's one thing to note. It's like stop motion is not something you ever get half done. You know, you don't oh we'll shoot the first few scenes and see what it looks like. No, the amount of effort that's necessary means that by the time you actually start shooting, you better be sure you're going to finish this movie.
Yeah, no,
Because-
it's either a done deal or somebody's short film.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a stop motion, couple of
Oh,
little
did you?
stop motion
Oh.
pieces of garbage back in high school on Super 8.
Yep.
I don't have many more. They weren't very good. Whatever, it was fun.
I like stop motion. I got to do it on one movie project, 7 Minutes Bad Luck, short film I did in high school. I animated a doll of Callisto from Xena Warrior Princess attacking my friend James with a sword. and
Nice.
poking him with it, and it was really fun. He shot her with a BB gun, and then she comes back to life. She doesn't have a head and kills him, and it's
That
just
sounds
great.
so much
It's-
better than mine. I had good clay figures, and they
Ah.
just ran around a countertop on whatever.
So Trilogy of Terror then. Huh?
Well, why don't we talk about some other stop motion animators? Let's talk about some of the famous ones. Phil Tippett,
Mhm.
Stan Winston worked with Sneaky Pete Kleinow, who was of Gumby fame. They did Terminator together. Technically, Sneaky Pete did the animation itself on the T800. He also played steel guitar and is widely known as a steel guitar player with a bunch of famous musicians that I personally don't really know that much about. But this guy had a wide and varied career. He's very cool. You should look him up
I mean,
sometime.
did he also do RoboCop?
No.
That was Tippett.
Yeah.
Okay, because when
good.
you mentioned we were doing live
at
action,
209, at 209
yeah,
was Phil Tippett.
immediately when you mentioned that we were doing live action, immediately what came to mind was Ed 209 falling down the stairs and then flailing around like a beetle on his back. I remember even as a kid thinking that was funny looking, and I need to rewatch that movie. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
To tie together with musical artists as well. Are any of you familiar with Adam Jones, who did the stop motion animation for the Tool music video?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
I
know
was
what you're
going to
talking
say,
about.
I
Sure.
had a feeling the Tool was going to come up in this conversation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I
had a
mean,
feeling that you were the one who was going to bring it up.
Probably,
But,
yeah. Between Sober, which was their breakthrough hit on MTV back in the day, as well as Animats, a song that I have some familiarity with, from having done an AMV of it way back in the day. They have done some of the creepiest stop motion animation outside of the Brothers Quay or Jan Svankmajer.
Yeah, but I love that. What was that one? Something about 9 or something like that. That
Oh,
wasn't
the
it-
one with
Oh.
Elijah Wood.
the little
with-
Oh.
sack
Yeah.
boy creature with the staff.
Yeah, that stuff was
Yeah,
fantastic,
that
and it
was
was reminiscent of that Tool video.
I thought that was CGI, although I could be wrong. It's been
Oh,
a long
maybe
time
it-
since I've
maybe.
seen 9.
I don't remember.
It's
Yeah,
been
I
a
think-
long time since I saw it too.
I think
Don't
that's-
ask me
I
to
think that's
remember what I
CGI.
had for lunch today.
Speaking of Svankmajer, Alice is one of Amelia's favorite stop motion animated films. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Amelia?
It was kind of creepy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
someone exploded, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
But it was good enough to stay up watching it till midnight.
Oh,
All
wow.
right,
right
She
on.
got to stay up late that night. Yeah.
it's a good
when
recommendation.
When your kid is
Very
watching
nice.
Art House, you just gotta let it go.
If the kid wants to watch Svankmajer, you let the
Yeah.
kid watch Svankmajer.
Yeah.
If they stop, they're going to stop of their own accord. Too much.
Very
but
true.
otherwise, yeah.
How about the Chiodo brothers? Anybody familiar?
I still haven't forgiven them particularly for the amazing live sea monkeys. So
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
the Chiodo were the Chiodo brothers the killer clowns from outer space?
Yep.
Or am I getting
Yep.
them mixed up?
Critters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of B movie stuff. I like them. I like their work. I think it has a unique kind of flavor to it. But I don't know. I guess I'm alone in that.
No, I
I-
love most of their stuff. Yeah.
I have to fully confess, I have a copy of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but I've never actually seen it. Mostly because
really?
I don't particularly like clowns in the first place, and obviously Jane is
No way.
nigh pathologically opposed to them. So
No,
wow.
well, you try getting chased by Shriners at a parade. I mean, you're
Oh,
gonna
would
be
they-
scarred for life too. I mean, they had the little funny cars, and they were
Yeah.
chasing me down the street. It was horrifying. I will never forget it. It's imprinted on my
Jenner,
brain.
Why were
even
they
I've
chasing
seen Killer
you?
Clowns.
You know what it was? Is I went out in the street because I saw horses. I was 3, maybe. There were horses
Oh.
in the parade, so I jumped out there, and all of a sudden, these clowns started bearing down on me. Instead of ducking back into the crowd, I went down the street behind the horses. I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
See that.
That'll mess you up.
It
That'd be
did.
traumatizing.
Totally messed me up.
I'm not afraid of clowns. I just don't like them.
Mm.
But I suppose if they're killer clowns from outer space, that's the point. It's one of those ones that I have mostly because I think I got it for $1 on Blu-ray, no less. Yay, Dollar Tree. And have just not actually gotten around to it.
That movie is hilarious, but
It
has
is.
one scene that is extremely effective.
All right, wait. Is it the crazy straw and the
No,
cotton candy cocoons?
no,
Oh, I remember those. I mean, it's a goofy ass movie.
no.
Yeah.
The sheriff and the puppetry.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I'll try to get it, fast tracked over here on my own time, of course.
On your own time.
Mhm.
Leave me out of that.
I don't know a lot about the Brothers Quay, but we did mention them briefly, and I figure we should actually talk about them as far as stop motion goes.
Yeah.
Am I? This is reaching back a while to when I was sort of actively collecting them, but I believe Street of Crocodiles is one of theirs.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, that's probably their longest piece of work. They did a lot of really interesting stuff with found materials, and I think they were also the ones who did the dancing metal filings commercial breaks for MTV with the like desiccated doll heads and the little dancing metal filings creeping up to them. That's kind of an obscure reference, but
Well, most of their work was either short or very short or in
Mhm.
advertising. If I recall correctly, they only had one directorial effort, The Piano Tuner of Earthquakes, which is a marvelously evocative title. I have had a copy of it for ages, but again, I've never actually gotten around to seeing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they
are generally spoken of in the same breath as Jan Svankmajer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They have a very mechanistic sort of Rube Goldbergian but with rusted out metal parts aesthetic.
Mhm.
I remember, if I remember correctly, Street of Crocodiles starts when a man walks in to a theater, goes up to a strange device on a stage, and after peering at it for a few moments, spits into it, and the stop motion animates the spit going down that hits a series of wires and levers and starts the whole mechanism that raises a stage inside the machine, and then the whole story plays out, which is all very esoteric and surreal and not really describable in any form of narration.
Yeah,
But it's still very neat.
It's weird to describe Svankmajer as being warmer and more narrative focused than anyone,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
kind of the relationship with the Brothers Quay there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, appropriate as kind of sort of a peer of theirs, mostly known for 2D animation, but also did a little bit of stop motion. Worth mentioning my ninth favorite director, Valerian Borovchik. Yeah, mostly known, of course, for ornate sex films, but also a major animation pioneer as well.
We should also talk about some of the godfathers of stop motion, Harryhausen and Willis O'Brien.
Willis O'Brien.
Yep.
Like I say, Reiniger to a little extent. But, yeah.
Willis O'Brien was King Kong?
King Kong, yes.
Lost World, and
yeah.
If it was a dinosaur, he animated it.
Gertie.
No, I when I was growing up, I was a dinosaur movie connoisseur, so stop motion and dinosaurs kind of go hand in hand. And,
hey, now you could just glue a sail back to an iguana and throw it in a pit.
That is true. Journey to the
a
center
handful
of the
those
earth.
too. Mm-hmm.
That's what made me love iguanas.
Aw.
No, I love stop motion. I think it's a beautiful art form, and I love that it's continuing, even though it is considered impractical for all intents and purposes by Hollywood at this point. They don't like funding these kind of projects. So
I mean,
I'm afraid.
Bless Wes Anderson for keeping it a little bit more toward the mainstream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Isle of
yeah.
Dogs and
Mhm.
Fabulous Mr. Fox. Both of those are like way up on my list.
Yeah, those are excellent. If a little stiff in places, but specifically the Isle of Dogs, that they take the Japanese formalism to such an extent in that film that everyone is so utterly stiff it probably saved on their animation.
See, I actually like that part.
It
I thought
works. It's a good idea. It just also probably saved them a lot of time
Mm.
probably.
by not having really demonstrative characters.
I'll
I'm
go with
trying
that.
to
Yeah.
trying to think of anybody else we've missed because there are a ton of great stop motion animators. I mentioned Rick Heinrichs, who did Pee-wee's Big Adventure and
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
The Large
Oh.
Marge
Yeah.
section there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to talk about that too.
I mean, worth shouting out to Will Vinton,
Hmm.
who is kind of the best known for the California Raisins.
Oh.
But no, it's pretty much the one of the major scions of television claymation, particularly during my own formative years.
Hmm.
And of course, Rankin Bass.
Yes,
Oh,
how can we
yes.
forget Rankin Bass? I did.
I
Shit.
try
Yeah.
to.
It's not the holiday season.
Yeah, but I love
Yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Watch it every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just made me uncomfortable. It still does. I don't know.
And
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't
Yeah.
updated that. Have they updated that and made like a CG version that plays instead, or do they still play the original every year?
Play the
I think
original.
they still play the original.
That's
It
pretty
has
impressive.
it has been
shout-
updated. Like there are a million updates.
Yeah.
Shout
Nobody ever
outs
plays
also
Mad Monster Party.
Mad
Party, though.
Monster Party. That was what I was going to mention.
Yeah.
I do like the Heat Miser and
Hmm.
I'm Mr. Heat Miser. The songs were good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about those that I found extremely creepy, and I can't put my finger on it really.
Oh no, they're
Yeah.
extremely creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of what we've been talking about sort of falls under the category, if not the brand name of claymation, except Rankin and Bass. Rankin and Bass were all woodblock animation,
Yeah.
which gives them a distinct difference. And in retrospect, I don't know how they did that, how they kept the pieces so still and changed out like complete heads and mouthpieces without the thing jumping all over the place. But I mean, I guess you devote that much time to an art form like that, you're gonna master it.
Yeah, we're talking about half-ton photographic cameras that were probably bolted into the floor with 9-inch nails.
Oh, I have no doubt they could keep the camera from moving. I'm just stunned they kept the figures from moving.
Well, you can see the hair move a lot.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
Rankin Bass.
I mean,
Which,
that's
I
kind of
mean-
the charm, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell they've been
Mhm.
touched by human hands because it's physically impossible to not do that.
Yeah,
Right.
you get that weird ruffle effect that happens across anything with hair that
Yeah.
that gets animated in that fashion.
I mean, that's
Like
kind of
Isle
part
of
of
Dogs in the
that's,
house.
yeah. I mean, King Kong has that all over the place. That's sort of like the
Yeah.
charm of how King Kong
Mhm.
moves. You see his hair, you can see that it's being touched by hands, so
Mm-hmm.
it has that distinct look.
Hey, you
Yeah.
know, I know it's not a movie, but we really would be remiss if we didn't mention Robot Chicken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like a whole television show. I mean, yes, it's
Long
somewhat
running, too.
cheaply done, but it's quick and dirty, but it's so nice. I
I
like
Quick
it.
and dirty, and so are the jokes.
Yes, they are. It's not for children.
I
They
saw
get
a-
stuff done.
I saw a special
does.
about one of the animators on that show who had taken a Nintendo Power Glove and repurposed it to be a peripheral so he can make an adjustment and then hit a bunch of buttons and take another picture and then make an adjustment and then just do that on his wrist every time. And it's
Neat.
like, wow,
Oh, that's awesome.
somebody found a use for the Power Glove.
Yeah.
I have to ask, did he cut the fingers out so that he could use his physical fingers
No,
and get around the clunkiness of the glove?
no.
Okay.
Probably
That's
should
neat.
have, though.
Probably should have.
But to circle back a little bit on some stuff that you mentioned earlier, though, it's worth shouting out to movies that were not predominantly stop motion, but had amazing bits of stop motion in there. The one that jumps most directly to mind for, I think, most of us lot is
The happiness of the Katakuris.
No, that's a good example. But I was actually
Sorry.
I was thinking of one of the great shock moments in Evil Dead 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Where the mother's head turns into the elongated neck and stuff. It's like that.
Well, let's not
Or the-
forget
the-
the
Pretty gross.
dancing scene.
Dancing.
Yeah.
Yes, the dancing scene.
Yes. Yeah. Raimi is a fan of a lot of the same old schoolers that we are in this case, and so made a lot of use of that because he had more time than money. And if you have more time than money, stop motion is a very, very viable approach to special effects.
See again the happiness of the Katakuris, where it was a straight-ahead live-action film, except anytime they needed a budget, everybody suddenly turned into clay. And in this way, a whole group of our heroes turned into clay, picked up the house, and rode a lava flow to safety.
I mean, realistically, Takashi Miike in that period, I think he chucked out something like 11 movies in 2002. So realistically, he probably had neither time nor money. He just had absolute fervor.
Yes, and amphetamines.
You know, it makes me think of Eagle versus Shark. There's just a little bit of stop motion, and it makes me think that they it felt like a shortcut too. Just a little bit. I don't know. It was nice, but
Well, I think that's a good place to take our break. Why don't we go ahead and we'll be right back. And we're back. Next up, we'll be talking about The House, a Netflix-released stop-motion animated anthology consisting of 3 stories. Part 1, called And Heard Within Elias Spun, tells the story of Mabel and her down-on-their-luck family being invited to live at a fanciful new house constructed by a famous architect. Then things get weird. The second story, Then Lost is Truth That Can't Be Won, is about an anthropomorphic rat who is trying to flip the same house by giving it a modern sheen, only to be inundated with bugs. Then things get weird. The third segment is Listen Again and Seek the Sun, which centers on Rosa and her unending quest to clean up the house so that she can rent its rooms. The only problem being that she's in the middle of a large body of water with no roads. Then things get weird. This was an excellent example of stop motion as an art form. What did you all think of it as a movie? Let's start with Amelia.
Yeah.
So I really like the second part because it kind of like I really liked how they like made the mice that really that were extremely interested in the house want to buy it, and then in the end they sort of just tore it down and destroyed it, and the little mouse man. I'll just call him Little Mouse Man because I forgot his name. I don't even know if he had a name.
They called him Contractor.
Oh, Contractor.
In the
He
subtitles.
just sort of turned into a mouse himself.
well, did you notice though that the extremely interested mice were in the shape of the bugs?
Yes, that's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that
creepy.
was super creepy,
Yeah.
and they had the bug eyes. So the
Mhm.
so
Then they
bugs
just kind of
did take
stole
over.
the house.
They
Yeah.
did.
Well, we would like to invite our family members.
They used to live here.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this movie except I knew that we were getting Amelia on this episode, so I went in with very different expectations.
Well, I mean, I did offer it up because Jen asked if we could have something more cheerful than last week, so I thought this was the perfect fitting.
Yeah, I was kind of disturbed. The seemed to me the running theme were people who needed help being taken advantage of, and that absolutely is one of my new triggers. Also, and one of my other normal triggers is parents failing their children. That really bothers me, and I think it probably bothers a lot of people here, whether you're a child or a parent.
I think that
I was
first
once
segment,
a children.
that first segment scared me in a way that no horror film has done in recent memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was uncanny.
I will
like-
say I
Yeah.
intensely disliked that first segment. After that first segment, I'm like, what the hell am I in for?
Yeah.
That
It was very
first
effective.
that first segment has a very sort of classical, Middle European fairy tale darkness to it.
And a very minimalist sort of animation style to it. I mean, not just in that they have crammed all the features of everyone's faces to the very center of their face,
Yep.
Yeah.
so that they're occupying about a quarter of the normal space a face does, but they still manage to get all the subtlety and nuance out of every one of those faces. You could absolutely feel the disappointment and condescension from the family when that came visiting in that first one.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, despite the fact that their mouths look like no bigger than a pinhead and the entirety of it.
I
Well, it's a
hated
wonder-
those faces.
It's a wonderful thing about stop motion in general, especially the kind of heavily stylized stuff like this that I noticed or that occurred to me was when we were watching this, the first segment last night, is it is so far away from the uncanny valley that we accept the verisimilitude of the world that we have been thrust into completely and without question, counterintuitively. It maintains its own sort of distinct alternate reality, and it's completely believable. I never thought for a second, somebody's manipulating, all of these figures.
Now, was I the only one who had seen this previously?
I think so.
We did
Believe
not
so.
see it. It
We had not
had
seen
been
it
on
either.
our list forever. I mean, I'd been begging to watch it. So
Yeah, I came to this because we reviewed the trailer on Bastards, and I came into it expecting something very different because I didn't realize from the trailer that it was an anthology, and I thought all three of these different animation styles existed within the same house, and I thought maybe like the main living space was going to be occupied by the human figures, and the mouse characters were going to be in like a basement, and the third one for some reason I thought would be up with the cats, I thought was going to be up in the attic for some reason, which would have given a very, I don't know, upstairs downstairs feel to it.
I think I may have gotten the same impression from the trailer initially, but that I was pretty promptly disabused of that when descriptions of it as an anthology came ashore. So yeah. Even so, that would have been a very interesting approach in its own right, and somebody should do something like that at some point. It turned out it wasn't this movie.
Yeah. So out of the three, what was everyone's favorites?
Second one probably.
Same for me. Number 2.
First one.
I think it was the first one. Even though I felt
Just
so
because
very
it's
bad,
so
but,
alarming.
but that baby was so cute.
Yeah.
I could
Isabel.
Isabel was a champ.
She was a champ. It was the whole thing reminded me of Lemony Snicket. You know how the baby on there was just learning to talk, and they were completely abandoned by all the adults in their lives, and it's the same sort of desperation and worry for these children, but they're smart and kind of get by, and that's that.
And at the same time, as much as anything else, further evidence that either Mia Goth or her agents have absolutely sterling taste in genre properties.
Yeah.
She of course provided the voice of Mabel.
Yeah.
Did any of you notice how that baby mouse was named Isabel in the second
Yes,
one?
I noticed that. This
No, I did not.
I think
was also named
I think it's
Isabel.
only mentioned like once, but yeah, 'cause I watched it subtitled. So
no, I think we
Yeah,
missed
I read
that.
the subtitles.
I think we missed that because we were giggling too hard because it actually looked like a baby mouse. Which
Like a
is,
little baby mouse,
Yeah.
like what you'd feed to a snake. I mean, it was so funny.
Yeah.
So
Baby mice are kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
yeah, they are. And then the child mouse, with the ice cream, just
Ice cream
smearing
cone.
it. I mean, I just wanted to snatch that child bald headed.
Did anyone notice in the first movie or the first segment on the dinner table there was a rabbit, and it was
Yeah,
a full rabbit with the head and the ears roasted on the table?
Oh.
You could see
Yeah, I
all the
noticed
details
that.
of its head.
Yeah,
I did not see
the
that.
dad ate it.
Yeah,
The dad
Oh,
was
of
like,
course he
it
did.
was disturbing. I also liked the one detail I liked about those horrible faces was the splotchy skin, which I think must have been intentional because it sort of get the feel of these living in the past times and not having all the greatest nutrition, stuff like that. And it just made it also all the more gross and horrible to look at those faces. I had a hard time with that segment. I do acknowledge it was very effective. It was very scary and well done, but it was just hard for me to sit through.
Yeah.
The dad
Oh, yeah.
scared me.
Well,
The
the
dad
dad was
scared
scary.
me.
Yeah.
No,
He
it's
like was
scary.
giggling when their house fell down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Like-
super creepy.
Mr. Van
Yeah.
Schoenbeek has a very sort of fey bargain quality about the way he's presented, just in general.
How about when his eyes were the windows of the house and they glowed and then they
Yeah.
blinked and it was like, ah!
Yeah, I know you were just saying, oh
Or the
no,
giant.
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
no.
no,
Okay,
no.
what about the what about the moment when the giant version of him loomed out of the darkness behind the guy who was conducting all the business with the
Thomas.
family?
Thomas.
Oh my
The
God,
poor,
yes.
the poor
And we get that-
actor.
Mr.
Yeah,
Thomas
we get
also
that final
scared me.
moment of revelation.
Yeah.
Mr. Thomas.
Just
finally
an
gets that
actor.
moment of revelation. He keeps changing it on me. There aren't any stairs anymore. Yeah, it was a wonderfully surrealist sort of
Tragedy.
story they told there.
Yeah.
And
It has a very classical fairy tale feel to it, and I dug that because
Very much so.
classical fairy tales will F you up.
Yeah,
It was sort of like the
always-
parents' greed, or not greed, but I mean, they had everything. They had everything. And when those relatives came in and said, you have
house is
nothing.
ugly."
This is garbage and it's ugly and we're packed in here like sardines. I mean, the father took it as law, which is sad.
Well,
And he
I think
failed
it's
his children.
I
Just
think
like
it's
that.
telling that a lot of the upholstery, particularly the curtains that the mother was working on, were green.
mhm.
Yeah,
it's a story about envy
yeah.
to
Yeah.
some degree. It's a story about jealousy and materialism. And the second one, I think, the second story is just about facades. And because that's what we kind of discover in the same way that he flipped the house, but he did it in a horribly incompetent manner. You just take the old stuff out, you put the old stuff in, and you know what happens when you do that? Well, you disturb a whole heck of a lot of bug nests.
Yeah.
And then suddenly your nice pristine kitchen has bugs all over it. And then similar to that, we find out his life is the same way. He has been sleeping in the basement of this house he's renovating, not because he's working so hard on it, but because he has nowhere else to go. And the person he keeps talking to on the phone turns out to be his dentist.
Not a
I thought it was
girlfriend.
his wife.
Yeah.
I thought it was his wife.
I did too. I thought
Exactly.
like girlfriend
Yeah.
or possibly wife. Yeah,
I love
it was
that
so
reveal
sad.
so much.
That-
That
that
reveal
is a-
was amazing.
That is a fantastic pull the rug moment.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's sort of what it was doing. I love movies like this because it presents me with something that I can't quite figure out. But once I realized that it was all about facades, it was all about like plastering over a terrible situation and pretending it's amazing, then his life and the building that is just basically infested, but he's just sealing everything up and trying to sell it off. And then he gets exactly the sort of people that deserves. People who, on the surface, this is exactly what he needs. It's a buyer. But no, it's not. It's just somebody who's going to squat in the house and never pay him a penny and tear the place up and all come tumbling down at the end.
Yeah,
Then he goes native.
And then he goes feral, yeah.
there are a lot of dueling deadly sins in this movie as a whole.
Mhm.
We haven't even talked about the third segment. And,
Yeah,
what would you
which
say
is-
that one was, Matt? Because you,
I'm still trying to figure the third one out a little bit. Out of the three, I like the third one the least. The first two are very close to me. I like the first one best, but the second one is very close to it. The third one, I'm having a little bit of trouble with, and it's the only one to me that also felt a little too long. Just by like 5 minutes
it
or
was
so.
the longest one.
Yeah.
I didn't get to
Yeah.
answer earlier, but the
Oh, I'm
third
sorry.
one was actually my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's the
saw
only
it.
one that has hope in it, I guess.
Yeah, there is a sense of hope.
Yeah.
That's a little surface level, I think, the message
Okay.
at the end. But I think that segment was about grief, and specifically the death of her parents.
I'm going to
Mhm.
agree with that and her acceptance of it. And yeah. But
whole-
I did say to Jenner, I said, when the shaman dude
Yeah.
was all like, yeah, I'll help you fix your house. And she got all excited. And I was like,
He destroyed it.
yeah, I said there is
Built a
nothing
boat.
worse than a little bit of hope. There is, I mean, seriously,
Mm.
there is nothing worse in this universe than a little bit of hope, because it's better to just give up or to win. But that little that
The story
niggling.
the story as a whole has a very sort of purgatorial afterlife feel to it, just in general. I mean, starting with the setting, which is a very evocative position in which to find oneself in the first place. A house on an island in the middle of water. In the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nothing.
So
I will say the end made me wonder, though, because I felt like if it was grief and she was going to let go, maybe she wouldn't have sailed away with the house.
yeah, that's the thing
That
I
it
can't
felt like
figure
she was
out.
still clinging to that house. It was still her
That's what I did
lifeline.
not get about the ending of that. And that's why I'm still thinking about it now.
I don't even know how they did it. I don't
Yeah.
even know how they did it.
He was a very good carpenter.
Yeah, he was. The shaman guy had done something to the house and put a lever in, and that when she was ready, she would push it. And I imagined what it would do would, collapse the house and reveal a boat.
Yeah.
That, but it didn't do that. It turned the house into the boat, so she was still stuck with this thing of rot.
Yeah.
And
She's carrying all of her baggage with her.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess your baggage does make you who you
A
are.
ton of very Barton Finky wallpaper.
Yeah. It was so sad. She kept trying to fix it, and it would just unroll because the water in the paste was no good.
Yeah,
Slicky water.
there was a
Yeah.
lot of the joys of home ownership in
Yeah.
the last section.
Oh, you tell me about it. Tell me.
Yeah.
As befits a physical medium like stop motion to begin with. The second and third segments in this particularly had a very squicky tactile quality to them, I think.
Yeah.
I could see that. I also
But, I mean,
liked.
did you have any closer analysis of the third one, Besner? Oh, sorry.
I did. What did you say? I missed that.
Me too.
I'm sorry.
You froze
I'm
up. You
sorry.
froze up for
I
a
was
second
saying-
there.
I was afraid of that. Yeah, y'all froze it for me too. I was wondering, Besner, if you had any closer analysis of that third one to sort of make sense of the situation. I like it as a sort of exploration of grief, and it's plainly sort of surrealist in its structure. In the she's trying to renovate a house that is 3 inches away from being flooded, which is straight up insane. So obviously very surrealist, but again, did you have any further insight into the ending that maybe we didn't think of?
I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. I'm not quite sure. I finished watching this about an hour before we had the show. And there are elements that I see, but I haven't formed a full theory. Like I see the death of the parents. I feel like that's what they're leading us to think about with the picture of the parents. And I think that the boats are representative of death and crossing the river Styx, because I believe that she was in as a sort of purgatory. It's hard to say about that one because the ending's so weird, and I really want to parse it. Because it really does seem to say, "Oh wait, you can have your cake and eat it too. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
All you need to do is survive your trauma. You don't need to figure it out or go to therapy or anything. Just keep it with you forever and stop thinking about it."
Yeah, or use it as your, way to get through. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it just. Oh. Yeah. I think we all are.
It's
I think it's a
appropriate.
real head shaker. And
That's why I
anybody
like
listening
that one.
have any ideas? Email us at the email.
I think that's why I like the second one so much, because I couldn't figure it out initially until the second viewing, and I've been thinking about that one the most. So similar approach.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, there
give
was
this
a whole,
another watch.
like relationships over objects. It's people are more important than things. Sort of message. So I don't know. I mean,
Shamanistic guy really did come off as an absolute putz, though.
Yeah.
Dude, who knew? It's just awful. Just awful. And I knew not to trust him. Like, don't trust him.
Yeah. I find the cat breeds or fur types kind of interesting in the fourth segment because, trying to fix up the house is a very Calico thing to do. And being kind of a douche is a very Ginger Cat sort of thing to do.
I love
And to
that
be
he was...
sort of a lazy layabout is a real Black Cat thing to do, right, Mr. Lucian? Yeah, if anybody watching the video, Lucian's having a little nap on the back of my chair there.
He's not napping. He's holding on tight.
He's holding on for dear life. Yes, you are, but you can do it. Yes, you can.
So it looks like this movie had 3 directors but 1 writer who did all 3 of the segments. Or was it 2 writers who worked together? I think it was just 1 writer.
I think it was 1 writer is what I read.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of trouble figuring out the credits, honestly. So
Yeah.
I don't watch the credits.
Oh.
Was one screenplay credit,
Oh, I
but
couldn't watch it.
Yeah, that's true. It just
Large
turned off
collection.
of Netflix.
large collection of story credits for each of the different segments.
Which is kind of how, this is actually an interesting segue. It kind of reminded me, that's how Black Mirror works. In the second segment, there's a part where the contractor finishes the kitchen and does a little dance, and there's a little piece of music. That is the exact same music from the 15 Million Merits episode of Black Mirror. If you guys have seen that, where Daniel Kaluuya dances at the end. That's the exact same
I've seen
music.
that. It's just with ages
Yeah,
ago.
so I'm wondering like how much. I know that was produced before Netflix, but still, I'm wondering if that was a conscious decision to use that specific bit of music because I've never heard that music anywhere else.
I'm gonna go with probably.
Yeah, because I don't even know if that's
catchy.
I don't even know if that's like in a piece of music that was made separately outside of these films. But and that's a segment that's about like sort of the end point of rampant consumerism, and this is how the rat's celebrating that he's quote unquote finished the house. So I thought that was an interesting little kind of reference, maybe possible reference.
It's
ahead,
a
Mia.
reference even if it doesn't know it is.
I really liked the part where the bugs sort of like danced on the ceiling and made a little show.
What was
Yeah.
that?
He was just like, "What's going on?"
I thought it was cool. I was like, this. I wrote down, this looks awesome. What is happening?
I
guess they're celebrating that they have an owner that's gonna sort of let them free.
I
No,
kind
I
of got the
thought it was
feeling.
more like it was a dream sequence kind of thing where the contractor was like, like, oh my, yeah, you know what? I have lost this battle. That's what I thought of it.
I believe that he had gotten too much of that bug stuff in his face, and he was hallucinating.
Worked on him better
Any way
than
you
that.
slice it, the
I was
bugs were
thinking
doing
the
a
whole-
victory dance.
Yeah.
I just thought that they had moved over from the apartment down the street. Joe's apartment.
Uh,
Sorry.
I remember that movie.
Yeah.
I remember
I
the
remember
shorts
the short.
too.
I never actually watched the movie.
The movie wasn't as good as the shorts.
Well, how could it be?
Yeah.
I would probably like the second segment more, but bugs, I don't like bugs.
Bugs.
Neither do I, and
Yeah.
I liked it in spite of that. But
Yeah.
again, that may be why it came in second out of the three instead of first.
And I find it interesting that our protagonist was voiced by Jarvis Cocker, who also ended up doing a mostly remarkable Leonard Cohen impression for the music over the closing credits.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was a
to the
neat
point
little
where
song,
for
too.
the first couple of bars there, I actually thought it was Leonard Cohen, who is who of course is the GOAT. But
We did not get a chance to watch the credits or even hear them because Netflix went away from the screen so quickly, and I hit the wrong button, which makes sure that you never see the credits, and it restarts the timeline once you've quit because they don't give a shit about crediting these people who work so hard on the movie. Oh,
no,
Netflix,
the
stop it.
wrong button will get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you only have like 15 seconds to select the right button, or else it's going to default to a trailer or something.
At some point, I granted that we're pretty much using the apps on mostly on the Roku device, but I think I ended up tweaking my settings so that it doesn't give us a lot of the grief or a lot of the automatic grief that most people tend to associate with the Netflix interface. It's one of those things you have to manipulate in the your individual profile settings.
Do they really? Can you turn off the autoplay at this point? They finally introduced that?
Yeah, no, I actually
Wow.
made a Facebook post about it at the beginning of 2020, I believe.
Oh.
Can't do
It's not
anything
easy
about
to find,
Prime,
though, from
though.
what I
Prime is
remember.
going to shout at you no
yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
No, Prime is the big offender at this point, just because I forgot that most people didn't actually turn that off in their Netflix, and so they still assume that it's unavoidable.
Yeah, I did. I assumed
Yeah.
it was unavoidable.
Nope.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Going into the credits, as you mentioned, I was startled that I didn't recognize any of these artists. The voice actors, yes, but not the actual animators or directors themselves. And so I went digging a little bit, and I might have been reading it wrong, but it looked like these were mostly, as you put it, work for hire companies doing it. The one from the first segment, Clockwork Frog, apparently did a movie called This Magnificent Cake, which was picked up by G
Cake.
Kids, has a very similar style, and I don't know if I should be frightened of it or not.
Cake.
see it
That's the thing about stop motion in general, is you never know when you're going into it unless you've had a lot of warning or done a deep dive on the background of the thing, if it's going to be okay or if it's really, really not going to be okay. because it's simultaneously used for family friendly and children's fare and the creepiest stuff on the planet.
I definitely checked the parental warnings on IMDb before watching this, and I was like, an F-bomb and intense scary scenes, that's gonna be fine. And then it was terrifying.
Oh, you don't check the Christian sites? Super safe.
I think people who like the Christian sites are the ones who keep the family stuff updated on IMDb, because they have a lot of prudish stuff on there. A lot of weird comments about all sorts of adult themes.
Too much
we
of the
won't go
devil in
into.
this movie.
Yeah.
uh,
That was great.
Noise.
That was a great one. Well, we haven't had a chance to do it in the past 2 episodes, but Shane, do you have any games for us to play?
Sure. Let me pick
Ooh.
one up real quick. I do have some.
I'm
Yeah.
always terrible at these.
I stink at these. I'm so bad.
All right.
Although I
so
think I
let's
did get the
see.
last one. Go
I
ahead.
could do one. We could either do the review where I read part of the reviews. Or I
Oh,
can do
those
the
are always
actors.
fun. I'd never get those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this is one. This is a review, a bad review from a movie that we've done. I will say this. This is a movie that most of us quite like. Okay. Let's see. It's basically a pretentious try at being serious drama written by somebody who has the mentality of a teenager. Spare yourself a pain and don't bother with this awful little movie. The script could have been written by some 15-year-old stoner with a thirst for revenge porn, and the shocks were badly orchestrated, making some of them inappropriately funny. The author of the script has serious problems with their notion of measure, human nature, love, or hate. I seriously regret the time spent on this movie. Pity for the cast. 1 star is only for the actresses. The rest I would like to forget. Oh, I like this one. This was absolutely the most stupid movie I've ever watched. I'd rather watch my own death.
Velocipaster! It's got to be Velocipaster.
No, it's not the
No,
Velocipaster.
it's-
This is the movie that we like.
Okay.
I
I like
We
Velocipaster.
like
I
Velocipaster.
love
Well, okay, this is a movie that
Velocipaster.
we like. Okay, never mind. That's a bad.
Unironically?
Unironically, but I think we did like the Velocipaster unironically, so that's not
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah.
This was a mishmash of, hey kids, let's make a movie. It meandered, at times it made no sense, and led you in the wrong direction in a sophomoric, ridiculous way.
It's not The Power of the Dog, is it?
No.
No.
Okay,
I
I haven't
initially
seen
thought
that, so I'm
that.
only guessing.
So it's very actress forward.
And this one sort of gives away the story, but not really.
We could use that at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
It says, so basically, they all end up sad losers stuck in a hell that one tried to save the one that tried to save the other one created. Whoever is giving this tens has no critical thinking skills and could be entertained by any twisted smut.
Oh,
Not the
no.
platform.
No, it's not the platform.
No.
Uh,
That's all I have. This is a movie we did a while back.
Okay.
yeah,
So-
I imagine.
Oh. There's still
I'm-
a block of the old episodes
Yeah, I mean,
I
we-
haven't listened to.
Yeah, we have been doing this almost every week for over a year now. So, oh goodness.
Yeah, I think the biggest hints are it is actress forward, and the ending is they all end up sad losers stuck in a hell the one that tried to save the other created.
guessing
which
it's
is-
not Steel Magnolias.
No.
No.
It could have been written by a 15-year-old stoner with a thirst for revenge porn.
See, the
See, the
revenge
revenge
thing.
porn is the
That's-
thing that I keyed on, and I'm not.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
everything I can think of is recent.
At times it made no sense and led you in the wrong direction in a sophomoric, ridiculous way. Sophomorish is what they wrote. Sophomorish.
Mm.
Well, you knew what they.
I
would have
yield
intended.
on this one.
I'm gonna need a hint.
I'm getting nowhere.
Trying to think of what hint to give you.
Just say what it starts with.
I'd rather watch my own death.
I can't wait to find out what it is.
Well, okay, this is a Netflix.
Parasite?
This is a Netflix movie.
Oh,
Oh.
I think Jedder might have it. He just needs the title. Or no?
I don't.
Revenge
it-
porn Netflix movie.
We didn't do Gunpowder Milkshake, so it's not that.
I love that
it's-
movie.
a very heavy element in the movie is music, specifically musical performance.
The Perfection.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Wagner, have
I
you
haven't
seen
heard
that one?
episode yet? No, I haven't
Oh,
even
it's-
heard the list. The
I
episode yet.
love that movie. I know
Yeah.
Nate did too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's actually really good. It's just still very.
Just don't go
me.
into it lightly. It is perverse.
Do not
Yeah.
watch the trailer. The trailer gives away way too much.
Yeah.
And
I've already
no
seen the
children
trailer.
anywhere
Well, forget the
near it.
trailer. Forget you saw
that
it.
you saw the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, terrific movie. But yeah, deeply messed up.
It's been suggested to me on more than a few occasions.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm suggesting it for you. Just
You'll
not
like
with
it.
probably not with anybody else around.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for us here on What's on the Pile. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at What's on the Pile. You can find us on YouTube under the Punch Bunny YouTube channel, or you can visit our website, whatsonthepile.com. Thanks for hanging out.